All right, that was easy, wasn't it? No. First-timers traditionally struggle with ammeters because they simply fail to recognize that the circuit must be broken first and the ammeter inserted inside the open such that all current must pass through the ammeter. Additionally, first-timers often fail to recognize that ammeters use different lead placements than voltmeters. As a solution to this problem, I suggest you use the checklist. Function, leads, range, placement. If you follow the checklist in its intended order, you cannot get it wrong. If you skip a step, do a step wrong, or do a step out of order, you will get it wrong. In summary, use the checklist. You'll be glad you did. Since proper placement of the ammeter seems to be the skill that eludes most first-timers, allow me to spend some more time hammering this subject. By all means, draw a picture and talk yourself through it. Think how conventional current flows through the circuit. Current leaves the positive terminal of the 8-volt source, enters the ammeter indoor, travels through the ammeter, leaves the ammeter outdoor, enters the resistor top terminal, travels through the resistor, leaves the resistor bottom terminal, and returns to the negative terminal of the source. One and only one path where current exists, such that the ammeter is part of the circuit and all current must travel through it for measurement purposes. Build the circuit exactly as illustrated, step by step, and make sure one and only one path for current exists. Take your time and think about it. Really think about it. Draw a picture and talk yourself through it. In this spirit, because the ammeter is a little tricky to use at first, here's a couple ways you might screw it up. Be on the lookout for these mix-ups and be smart enough to recognize them when they happen. Here's one way of taking a bad current measurement. Recall that ammeters use different lead placements than voltmeters. What if you landed the lead intending to be the indoor, not on the proper ammeter input, but rather on the voltmeter input? No current would travel through the ammeter portion of the DMM, and an ammeter configured in this fashion would measure no current. Given ideal voltmeters are modeled as infinite resistances through which no current will flow, current will not travel through the circuit. Here's another way of taking a bad current measurement. The circuit must be broken and the ammeter must be placed in series with the element of interest. What if you put the leads in the right place, but failed to break the circuit and attach the indoor and the outdoor of the ammeter to the same node? Consider both leads of the ammeter landed at node 5A through E. No current would travel through this ammeter. However, current would continue to travel inside the unbroken circuit. An ammeter configured in this fashion measures no current. All current bypasses the incorrectly configured ammeter. Here's yet another way of taking a bad current measurement. Again, the circuit must be broken and the ammeter must be placed in series with the element of interest. What if you failed to break the circuit and landed the indoor and the outdoor of the ammeter in parallel with the element of interest? Pay attention because this is perhaps the most egregious of errors and regrettably the most common of errors for individuals unaccustomed to ammeters. Be warned, this is wrong and extremely dangerous. Placement of an ammeter in parallel with an element of interest can have disastrous consequences. Recall that ideal ammeters are modeled as 0 ohm resistances through which substantial current can flow. Additionally, recall that the resistance of a parallel configuration of elements is always smaller than the smallest resistor constituting the parallel relationship, and additionally, that 0 ohm shorts inside parallel configurations effectively short out the entire parallel configuration. An ammeter configured in this fashion will present no opposition to the source, and substantial, theoretically infinite amounts of current can flow. This could damage your meter, your circuit, or yourself. Never, ever put an ammeter in parallel. For the curious, let's do so in a controlled environment. Here I've current limited this DC power supply to a maximum of 125 milliamperes, meaning if the circuit draws more than the user-adjusted maximum of 125 milliamperes, the source will actively reduce its voltage output to keep current under the permitted maximum. In addition to actively attenuating or reducing output, the current limited source will throw a red flag in the play and let us know we're pegging the maximum by illuminating the overload LED. For a detailed discussion on current limitation, check out the DC Power Supplies lecture available at the Big Bad Tech channel. Long story short, the source actively reduces voltage output such that the current remains below the user-adjusted maximum, in this case 125 milliamperes. Consider the original unbroken circuit, the power supply positive terminal and one terminal of the resistor landed at node 5A through E, and the other terminal of the resistor and power supply negative terminal landed on node F through J across the ditch. A complete electrical circuit exists such that one and only one path of current exists through the resistor. If we failed to break the circuit and place the ammeter in parallel with the resistor by landing the indoor at node 5A through E and the outdoor at node 5F through J across the ditch, another parallel path in this circuit exists through the ammeter. Notably, this parallel path presents no opposition to the source and substantial current will flow. Again, this is not how you use an ammeter, and seriously bad things will happen. Never ever place an ammeter in parallel. When we turn on the power supply, an ammeter configured in this fashion demonstrates 125 milliamperes, our permitted maximum, flows through the ammeter. Additionally, the source indicates it's in an overload condition by illuminating the overload LED. If this light illuminates, it means you're doing one of the following. 1. The user adjustable current limit is set too low. 2. There's a short circuit. Or 3. You're using the ammeter incorrectly. Either of these scenarios may cause your lab instructor to swoop down upon you like a hungry peregrine falcon would swoop down upon a wounded pigeon. Make sure you're not there when this happens. Just let your lazy lab partner absorb the wrath. Keep in mind this is in a controlled lab setting with a current limited source. If we made the same mistake on a source that could produce a maximum of, let's say, 100 amperes of current, all 100 amperes would be diverted through the ammeter. This is a sure way to destroy this device and those in close proximity. It is for this reason ammeters incorporate safety fuses on their inputs. A first defense is to deploy the ammeter properly by using the function, leads, range, and placement checklist. If you use the ammeter properly, this won't ever happen. As a backup defense, the fuse is there to rupture in the event you screw it up. Fuses are inexpensive, sacrificial elements designed to blow before anything else more expensive does. The low current input on the BK Precision 2831E has a 1 amp fused input, meaning it'll handle, but not necessarily read, anything up to 1 amp. Beyond 1 amp, the fused element melts and breaks the circuit, saving the ammeter from certain destruction. Similarly, the high current input on the BK Precision 2831E has a 20 amp fused input, meaning it'll handle anything up to 20 amps. Beyond 20 amps, fuse element melts and breaks the circuit, saving the ammeter from a fiery end. When a fuse blows, that input is rendered inoperable until the damaged fuse is removed and a suitable replacement is inserted. Now I know you're smart enough not to damage your ammeter, but look around your lab. Do you trust any of them? My point exactly. Oftentimes in a communal lab setting where several groups of students share the same equipment, it's the previous lab group that has damaged the equipment and left it as an unwelcome surprise for the following group. If your ammeter isn't reading current and your inspection detects no other obvious opens, most likely the fuse for that particular input is blown. In this spirit, here's a quick guide how to test and replace fuses. First, an ideal fuse in the intact and functional state will present 0 ohms of resistance. Real fuses may exhibit a small, negligible amount of resistance. Here, an ohmmeter demonstrates that this fuse is intact and functional. A blown fuse, in contrast, is an open and presents infinite resistance. Here, an ohmmeter demonstrates that this fuse is blown and inoperable. This is a sure sign that someone's been using this ammeter incorrectly. Replacing the low current input fuse in the BK Precision 2831E is super easy. Unplug the DMM, remove the leads, and locate the fuse carrier on the front panel. Use a screwdriver to rotate the fuse carrier several turns counterclockwise. Take the fuse and fuse carrier out of the socket. Remove the damaged fuse and replace it with an intact fuse of exactly the same type. Reinsert the fuse carrier and carry on with your mission. Replacing the high current input fuse in the BK Precision 2831E necessitates a little more work. Unplug the DMM, remove the leads, and turn it around to the back. Pull the bumper off the back and locate the 2 screws holding the trim on. Unscrew the screws and remove the trim. Then slide the case off. The high current input fuse is located behind the front panel on the left when looking from the back. Pop out the damaged fuse and replace it with an intact fuse of exactly the same type. Reassemble and carry on with your mission. Alright, I do believe that's it for now. Again, let me remind you that an ammeter is not a voltmeter, and it is not used in the same fashion. Not only do ammeters make use of different lead placement, an ammeter must be placed in series with the element under inspection, and this necessitates modification of the circuit under inspection. Power off the power supply. Break the circuit. insert the ammeter. By all means, draw a picture and talk yourself through it. Think how conventional current flows through a circuit. Current leaves the positive terminal of the source, enters the ammeter indoor, travels through the ammeter, leaves the ammeter outdoor, enters the resistor, travels through the resistor, leaves the resistor, and returns to the negative terminal of the source. One and only one path where current exists, such that the ammeter is part of the circuit and all current will travel through it for measurement purposes. Build the circuit exactly as illustrated, step by step, and make sure one and only one path where current exists. Take your time and think about it. Really think about it. In conclusion, this lecture introduced the DC ammeter function on the DMM. We use the function, leads, range, and placement checklist to place the DMM in DC ammeter mode and use the DC ammeter to measure current through an element inside a closed electrical circuit. Additionally, we discussed steps to prevent incorrect use of DC ammeters. Finally, we learned how to replace a damaged fuse inside an ammeter. Remember to review these concepts as often as you need to really drive it home. Imagine how well lab will go if you know what you're doing. Thank you very much for your attention and interest, and we'll see you again during the next lecture of our series. Remember to tell your Lazy Lab partner about this resource, and be sure to check out the Big Bad Tech channel for additional resources and updates.